I hope your planning is coming along well and you know what you want to grow. Now you have to decide how many you can grow per square foot. And so I've included some charts that may come in handy. For example, this first one, it shows that a tomato, you can grow 1 tomato plant per square foot. A spinach plant, it says you could grow 9 of those. And a sage, you could grow 1. Garlic, you could grow 4. And this is per square foot. So you have to think about, now that you know what foods you want to grow, you have to think about how much you need for your family. And then you have to decide how many you can fit per square foot so that it will help you in your planning. Some people like to actually mark out the square foot. This picture shows you can do it with some strips of wood. Some people just use like kite string and some nails. Some people just draw a line in the soil to show where they're going to plant their crops. When you know how much space you have, that can determine how much you can actually grow. For example, this photo shows beds that are 4 foot by 10 foot long, and they have 1 trellis in the back that can increase the growing space vertically. In the middle are pathways with blocks, and all around the edges are pathways as well for easy access to the produce and for easy maintenance and tending and flipping the plants seasonally. So when you start with your cold plants, then you can go to your warm and hot plants, and then in the fall you can go again to your cool plants and have a good harvest. There are other ways you can do it. Here's multiple raised beds with 1 trellis in the back and 2 obelisks. That's what those triangles are in the front. Those again increase the vertical space and you can grow more that way. These beds are 4 by 4, so you'd have 16 feet per bed. So 16 times 4 is how much space you would have if you were gardening per foot. But you also would have more room with the vertical spaces, especially the trellis, where a tomato plant may not take up a whole square foot if it's planted like under the trellis, so it will grow upward. Again, here's another chart that shows you with pictures how many things you can grow. Bush beans, it shows toward the right-hand side, there's 9 of them. Whereas lettuce, you could put 4 heads of lettuce together. Onions, a whole bunch, carrots, radishes, quite a few. It shows here that you could plant 1 watermelon, 1 zucchini squash, or 1 pumpkin every 2 square feet. But that's actually not that accurate because the vines are going to grow everywhere. My pumpkin vines sprawled probably at least 10 by 10. And same with my zucchini squash. I had those growing up on trellises. Watermelon, those took off probably 10 by 10 as well. So you really need a lot more space for those on the very left-hand side. But the ones for the tomato, eggplant, broccoli, and the other ones, the smaller ones, that's pretty on target. This photo shows that they have used, it looks like strips to mark off their square foot. They do have fencing around the exterior of that space, which is good because it will keep the critters out like your bunnies. And cats and dogs and even kids and chickens. And then I do like at the back where they have some trellising going on, so they're using that vertical space. Here's a sketch of what it might look like with 2 raised beds in the front. They are 3 by 5, so 15 square feet on each of those beds. That's 30 square feet in the front. And then there's a larger bed in back, which is 3 by 10, which is an additional 30 square feet of growing space. There's a flat panel trellis in back. And then there's an arch trellis in the front connecting the 2 front beds. Again, there are pathway blocks and wide pathways so that you can get through for maintenance, harvesting, adding soil, putting wheelbarrows in there, and enjoying the space. Here's another chart to show you about what you could plant every square foot. The cabbage is real true. If you plant them too close, then if there's any kind of diseases or insects going around, they're going to touch each other and they're not going to have enough room to grow healthy. Spinach, that's 9 there. Bush beans, we talked about that before, that was 9. Marigolds, I believe, is 4. So again, some reference material that you have depending on what you want to plant. If you have a larger space, this is a potager garden. There's L-shaped beds on each corner. There's a long bed in the middle. There's smaller beds in between there, the 3 by 4s. And then there's an arch trellis on the top and the bottom of this photo, where it increases the vertical space, and it also increases the artistry as you enter the space, where it seems like it's an actual room. Smaller beds like these are good for putting herbs that might spread into other areas and you want to keep them contained, or it might be good for cut flowers or whatever it is that you want to put in that space. And here's a variation on the potager garden. Again, 2 trellises, wide open pathways. You could put blocks down for stepping on. And then in the very back are beds as well. Maybe you start large things like pumpkins or something in those beds in the back and just let them vine all over in the back, and it won't affect what's going on in the front. And this is me, Tammy Lowe, the Lazy Northern Gardener. I like to sketch and build and design and plant and tend and harvest and protect and install gardens for you and for your loved ones. Reach out to me if you think you might need some help, and let's get a consult scheduled for you today.